Albums you should listen to: Bombay Bicycle Club, Everything Else Has Gone Wrong. If you were alive in 2020, you might remember the pandemic that kept us all indoors for most of that year, and like a lot of people, I spent a good deal of time listening to music that year to keep myself sane. The Bombay Bicycle Club album Everything Else Has Gone Wrong dropped just before lockdown started in January of 2020, and I had a lot of its tracks playing throughout the year. And what's more, although it might be nostalgia largely, I think this is a great album, though not without flaws. The main single off this album is Eat Sleep Wake, which is a kind of indie dance track with a strong hook. If you just heard that song at the time, you might think that the rest of the record is similar, but in a way it really isn't. You have much slower songs like Racing Stripes, as well as more standard indie songs like the title track and Is It Real? But each track has enough instrumentation and variety to keep it interesting, as well as catchy lead vocals, and that's the core of why I find this album comforting and endearing. I think the fact that Everything Else Has Gone Wrong has had something of a lukewarm appraisal in the last 5 years since it released, and in some sense I can see why that is. This album does feel a little bit overproduced in places, and I think some of the bass parts are a little bit overblown. However, the quality vocals and the strong melodies are certainly enough for me to consider this some of Bombay Bicycle Club's best work, even if others may disagree. If you like indie music in this vein, I'd certainly recommend listening to Everything Else Has Gone Wrong. You may not like every track, but there's more than enough here to make this a great listen. Hey, at least if you have to stay inside your house for months unexpectedly, you'll have something to listen to.